Well, I'll do the opening first. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Book Brewers. Wait, aduh, my cat. Welcome to Book Brewers February edition. Last month we didn't get to have a meeting because everyone was so busy, and but today we have at least 3 people, so it's fine. And as usual, we'll share the book we have read the past a month or two, and then I will post the questions in the chat box so we know what to be talked about. Okay. Now, since Fajar is about to go, I would like to give the opportunity for him to go first. Go ahead, Fajar.
All right. Sorry, this is a quite hectic day. Uh, so today I will be sharing the book while I'm preparing. Ya, never mind lah ya.
Where's the
So
book, by the way? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now
so
I can see it.
the book that I want to share is about guns, germs, and steel. Guns, germs, and steel. So basically, it is like a history of from Adam into a modern era. How does human can change from very old ancient civilization into a modern life like today? Although it also asks a question like, for example, why does the European that is developed much further, and then why does Indonesian doesn't grow as much? Why does the Australia stay in a stone era, or Tasmania stay as a very tribal civilization? Why does that happen? Is it about genetics or is it about environment? Okay, so I think I will go through the questions. Why do I decide to read the book? Well, because I happened to read it from the library, and when I tried to read it, oh, this book is quite interesting, and I decided to review that on another book club, and I find that it gives me quite a perspective about how civilization come about into what we have today. What are the key takeaway from the books? The first key takeaway is how important is the geography when it comes to the development of the society. So, for example, uh, I would like to compare between the Europe versus America. Europe had, I'm talking about the Middle Asia. Europe at that time was already quite advanced compared to the rest of the civilization. And then for America, they have like Inca Empire or Aztec Empire and so on, but their civilization is still not that good compared to European. Why? First, because of they the America don't have good crops, and America society also don't have good animals that can be domesticated. For example, uh, the Europe have like potato, and then they have wheat, they have so on, so many things. They have horse, but compared us to the American, well, maybe they only have corn, but corn at the time was like a very small, very tiny. It's also very hard to grow. Um, Maybe they have apple, but they have the apple is it's kind of limited on fulfilling our stomach, right? So because of the limited options of foods that is fulfilling our stomach, uh, most of the societies spend the majority of their time finding food or uh, cultivating food. So they have a very terrible option for food. So because of that, they have to spend most of their life spending their time. It's much better for European get like wheat, potato, and so on from all over the world. It's it's much better. And then the second one is that uh, because most people don't have to spend their time uh, finding foods or growing food, they can create a civilization. They can have a people with specialized job. For example, in Tasmania, at least, um, almost all people have to find food, have to gather food. Otherwise, they will be hungry. But in modern civilizations, or like for example, European, well, we have blacksmith, we have nobles, we have priests, and so on. So because of the food itself, it allows a society to grow into a more complex one rather than just a simple tribe one. Uh, Maybe and then the key takeaway is that uh, it is also one shocking note that I find was how European conquer America society. For example, Inca Empire, Aztec Empire, they had like 10 millions of people, but uh, the European maybe have some kind of modern warfare, like snipe or rifle or sword or something like that. But actually, the deadliest weapon is not those kind of weapon. It is the biological weapon, which uh, accidentally spread all over the American continent. So at the time, the disease from Europe was spread to America. For example, like the smallpox, and the measles, the tuberculosis, so many things. And from one record, it says that 90% of the population of America society at the time passed away due to those new disease that is imported from Europe. So can you imagine that if 90% of people die? Even if we compare it to the Black Death, quote unquote, only one third of the population. The COVID-19, it's only, not only, yeah, but it's several millions, like, yeah, but it's not as deadly of 90% of society. And because of the new disease, the American society simply collapsed. And the America just simply, sorry, the European can just simply swoop in and conquer the rest of the society. Okay, I think maybe that's all for today. That's all from me. Yeah. Any question?
Hello, Fajar. I have actually read Guns, Germs, and Steel as well. Hello.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. So, do you believe in all of the factors that they talk about in the book? Because, for example, for me as a debater, I can find an inconsistency already. For example, I remember that time I asked about, yeah, they brought European disease to America, but there are also American disease that the European did not have any immunity against. Why did the European who came to Americas did not die, or how come they can survive the disease that is common in America? Or when they try to colonize Asia, for example, there's a lot of tropical diseases or African diseases, that Europeans have no immunity against. But how can they survive? But how come the inhabitants of America, Africa, when they contract disease from European, they cannot survive?
Okay, very good question, and thankfully I can answer it because it's in the book. Okay, the reason is that the the it's because of the animal. In Europe, they have uh, ternak, domesticated animals that is packed together with their owner. Like for example, a herd of sheep, a herd of cows, and etc. etc. Those kind of herds not only bring foods for the owners, but also it allows the disease to jump into human. For example, like I think uh, I think smallpox. Smallpox come from animals. I forget what kind of animals. And then chicken also bring some kind of flu, right, to human. Uh, so many diseases that originate from animal, and because the animal are packed together, they mutate like crazy, and eventually they spread to human. And but thankfully, the European already to grow immunity over time. So that's why that when they go to America people don't have any kind of immunities related to those new disease. And then the question is, why does the disease from America doesn't do anything to European? Well, because they don't have domesticated animal. They don't have many domesticated animal. They only have like llama, ilama, and they don't have horse. They don't have sheep. That's why that they don't develop such nasty
Sarung.
disease. The only disease that is imported from America is only
Nggak denger
syphilis.
nanti mikir.
Yeah, syphilis and one other thing. But yeah, syphilis. Yeah, spread all over the world. And then also for the tropical disease, well, the tropical disease is also actually quite problematic to the European colonizer. Uh, Usually, uh, they have really really hard time dealing with malaria. So many European colonizer died due to malaria. And then I read in one passage, one time the malaria mosquito was brought to the to the uh, to the America, to the Brazil, and because of that, the after that point, the malaria mosquitoes start to spread all over the America continent. And it created such a big problem for the European and also the native people. Okay, does that answer?
So living close to animals actually build our immunity, guys.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also new.
Should we have pets then? Learning from this?
Well, we already get some new disease from pets already.
See?
Like
So
apa itu? Cat, parasite from cat. That makes us love cat. I forget the name.
love bug from cats. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The one that is the dangerous for pregnant women.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Thank you for answering my question. Any other question from? Yes. Go ahead.
Fajar, I heard that this book was written in the 1997. Is it correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Do you think most of the contents are still, relevant towards this 2025, or do you think there are some things that already changing because we do have new knowledge keeps coming on?
Okay. So when I read this, it is quite a really old book, I know. Uh, Basically, most of the information in the book is still relevant, but there are some updates. There are some criticism. Um, I don't exactly remember what is the criticism, but or the update. Uh, I think there are some evidence that the new information that bring evidence to his argument from the book that basically make it stronger. And yeah, I guess it's still relevant now because mostly this book only talk about the past time. It's not really relate. It's not like the apa itu Sapiens. The Sapiens talk about the present and the future, right? So it may change anytime soon, but this book talk about the past, which it's already happened. Okay, okay, that's that answer.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Because I think I actually have one, but I forgot who's the one who bought the book. Was it me or was it my sister? But it was in Bahasa Indonesia, and then it's translated into sejarah Kuman and Bedil.
Yeah, yeah,
So
betul.
the,
Kind
the
of weird.
translation itself, it's a bit, for me it's a bit unique because I didn't think that it will be translated that way, but I'm still reading it as well, but I kind of stuck in the chapter 2, so I haven't continued ever since last
Yeah,
December.
yes, I have the 3 hours documentary of Guns and Steel. I can send it to you if you want.
Oh, okay.
The YouTube link.
Okay,
It's
sure.
3 hours, but it's basically
Okay.
whatever the book says. It's in the
Mm.
yeah
Oh, okay. That's cool then. It seems like watching one movie or so. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
Parindra, you have a question for Fajar? The book is Guns, Germs, and Steel.
before I go.
Yeah, before he goes.
No, don't have any.
Okay, he missed the first half of the presentation.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
you
yeah,
missed that, right? Okay.
yep.
All right. So thank you, Fajar. I think he has to go, right? Or something.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
See you next month. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Yes, you want to be the next presenter?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Wait a second. Okay, sorry if I don't know if you may hear like a back sound because I'm currently inside CGP, and there's a background music playing just behind me. But this is the only spot with the very least music, because other spots they have like a lot bigger music for trailers, and nowadays the trailers are for the Captain America and then the Nosferatu, basically all the loud ones. So I'm sorry if it's not really suitable, but this is the,
Actually,
the
not so bad.
least music
Cannot hear it.
background that I can find. Sorry, you cannot hear?
Not so bad. I cannot hear it.
Oh, not so bad. Oh, okay, okay, sure. So this is what I'm going to present for today. This is the Dawn of Language, How We Came to Talk by Sprecher Johansson. I actually have discussed a bit about last year, but I wasn't finished the book by then. Now I have finished this. And then okay, the title of the book and what it's about, it's basically it's telling us about the language that we speak today. So because the author is from Swedish, I think he's Swedish. He's Swedish, so he mostly talks about the Swedish language. But of course, because in Sweden, English is also large population speaks in English, so it's pretty relevant to what we do know already. And then I decided to read the book because I bought this book back in 2023, so it was 2 years ago when I was in the middle of preparing my thesis. And then because my thesis is about a translation book, so I think I should read more about languages. I should read more about linguistics. So this is the book that caught my attention, to read more about language. And then my key takeaways from the books are, the first one is how the language developed in most of us as human, because we do started basically we were the same when we were babies, you know, we once we can only talk about mama, papa, you know, the very simple wording from our mouth. So from there we begin to learn the language which our parents talks mostly in our home. So basically the language that we speak is about how our parents shape us into what kind of language are we using, into what type of language, and then how we do deliver the language. So he didn't talk about the golden age, but I can assume that the very first 5 year in our lives, it was the one who shaped us the most until we grow up today. Yes, we do have certain environment, we do expose ourselves into maybe different cultures, but still the one that's instilled in us is the very first 5 year. So the key takeaway from the books that's first is because Parker Johansson he kind of from anthropology, he takes a bit from psychology, he takes a bit also from the mostly biological as well. So here in the book, he also speaks about can animal learn languages. So he was discussing about how chimpanzees started to talk to human, and then how if you do know about the Coco, the gorilla, the one who was taught how to use ASL. So he can speak like thank you, he can speak like hello, and then he can let us know that he appreciate us by doing like this. So it's very complicated yet very interesting for me, because we do know how the language shape us as human and as a certain characteristic. So because the book is, for me, it's a bit Europe centric. He didn't talk too much or discuss too much about how the Asian languages how the Asian language form. Like for example, in mostly in East Asian, they have special characteristics. Like for Mandarin, they have, you know, all the small strokes makes one character, and Japanese as well, from the kanji, and then for Korean it's the Hangul, and then if we go towards the Southeast Asian, the one from Burma, or what we call Myanmar today, they have similar languages with the Cambodia, and then Thailand. But then also the very simple one is what we are using in Indonesia, Brunei, and Malaysia. So I'd like to, if you do know, or if you do have that knowledge about how the Asian is so diverse regarding the language, that will be, for me, that will be interesting enough to discuss in this session. And then, okay, any questions from you guys, if you do have any?
Yes, I do have questions. Does it explain? This is something that I have heard before. They said that there's no language actually more difficult than the other. So basically, every language is unique, and no one is more superior than the other one. Not 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 one of them is actually more difficult than the other. Is it true, or does the book talk about uh, anything about that, about the complexity or different complexity of languages?
He didn't specific it. He didn't mention it in a very specific way, but he did mention something about. Wait a second. Yeah, I have. He did mention about the speaker, and also regarding the language ready brain. So meaning that, um, wait, guys, I have to. Meaning there is a universal thing uh, about all languages, which the first is in every languages, there are some expressions that all human can create. It can create. So meaning, for us in bahasa Indonesia, maybe the example is aduh. Aduh is it's only in bahasa Indonesia, or maybe in, I think it's Malay use it aduh as well, right? When we accidentally bump into something, in all languages they have that kind of aduh, but it's in different word, and then it's in different expression. Like I mean in English it's like ouch. Or if you lately, or if you have been watching, or if you're was once watching about the Korean drama, they mention like a or omo, something like that. It's similar to aduh as well, right? So in every languages there are certain expressions that express pain. So pain is first it's inevitable, and second it's universal. So everyone can feel the pain. There's no such thing as painless, because we do have that language to express how the pain affects us. That's the first one. And then the second is the language is in this book he mentioned that there's no superior, but the second universal thing is that the language is not really reliable. That's the For me that's a wow moment, because I thought, because language is basically express our message towards others, but then it's not really reliable, because anything can change within that languages itself. So for example, if there is just one thing that I miss, for example, saya mau makan, it means I want to eat, right? But if I say it in if I say like one mistake, there will be completely change the whole meaning. Saya mau dimakan. What if saya mau dimakan? It's a very different meaning, right? So that's why language, for me, the summary that I can take is that learning language will, like any other science or any other knowledge, it cannot be stopped in just one era. Keeps on it keeps on changing, it keeps on evolving. And for I think in Bahasa Indonesia we are going towards um there will be a lot more vocabulary in English that we what do you call this, Raf? Yeah. There are so many
Adopted.
vocabularies in English that adopted. There are so many vocabularies in English that keeps on getting into our dictionary, like digitalisasi, for example. uh, Financial people don't use financial keuangan anymore, except if it's a very official, or like Kementerian Keuangan, then they do still use the word keuangan. But other than that, I think in most company, or in most business, they only use the terms of financial, which is it's a lot more common nowadays comparing to maybe 10 years ago. So that will be the summary of uh, my interpretation of reading this book.
Thank you for answering my question. Perindra, do you have any question for Dias?
May I know which year this book being published? Well,
This
I'd like to ask about the artificial intelligence. Is there any is this book mention anything related to the AI or something, or natural language processing, something like that?
so the book is the copyright was in 2019, but the English
Oh,
translation copyright was in 2021. So it's 4
yeah.
years towards now.
Mhm.
He didn't really mention about the AI, because mostly he talks about the history. So it's what he learned from the past, um, and then he brings it towards the current situation, because the title itself is the dawn of language, how we came to talk. So, and meaning that he discussed about how language shape us, how language evolve, and how we speak the language we speak nowadays.
Mm,
So mostly it's about history, but he did mention about social control, and then something about the whole meaning of the meaningful conversation, which is, I think it's a bit similar towards AI nowadays, but he didn't really specifically mention about how technology um, kind of kind of collaborating with the language.
mm. How about the social media itself? I think, is there any, or how do you think about the social media? Is this, will it also shape on how the generation uh, communicating?
I think so, because in I think in in all countries, the English is getting more and more widely spoken, especially in social media. But this book didn't really mention about social media, only about the importance of grammar, and um how the grammar was created before, and why does grammar have to be that difficult, because without grammar, then everything will be ruined because of the
Mm,
language. uh, like, for example, saya mau makan, but
yeah.
then if I just mean I did if I made a tiny mistake about saya mau dimakan, then it could mean something else. So that's mostly the book talks about the grammar, because grammar is also the universal thing in every language, because there's no language without grammar.
Yeah, and
Mm.
yeah, I think, and there's a interesting phenomena in last few weeks, I think. If you guys know that TikTok is being banned in US, so a lot of people from US installed another application
Chinese.
like TikTok called
Yeah.
Xiaohongshu, but it's not translated
Mm.
into English, so it's like they learn Chinese language just to be able to use these new apps. And yeah, in Twitter it kind of viral last
Yeah.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, funny
Yeah.
Yeah,
how.
Can I,
I know about
to
that
be
news
honest
as
with you,
well.
I think they did it out of cloud. It's not like
Yeah,
they know
might be.
it's practical. They just,
Hmm.
sometimes it's for a joke, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, and
Do it for
defiance.
fun.
Yeah,
Mm.
they know they're not gonna use it like TikTok in a way. They just want to prove a point by doing that, in my opinion.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
That might be. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Diaz.
Okay. Thanks for the question.
Kak Mita came halfway. I don't know if she had a chance to listen to Dia's presentation actually. Yeah, Kak Mita.
Just a little bit at the end.
Oh, do
So
you have any
yeah,
question then?
okay. So if you could have three golden nuggets from your presentation, Diaz, could you share with us, please?
All nuggets from the book. Okay, so the maybe I will bring about the can animals learn the language? For me, that's the first golden nugget, because I don't know if Mbak Mita was here when I mentioned about the Coco, the gorilla. If you don't know that he's the smartest ape, perhaps, has written in the history, because he was taught on how to speak in ASL, in the sign language. So he do knows how to say thank you, and then I'm hungry, or I appreciate everyone's coming. So meaning that language is can be taught can be taught to animals, but I think it's only for the apes. for the sense, but for maybe for other mammals, like for example, to cats and dogs, we can thought about the language, but mostly on instructions. For example, if you ask the dog to sit down or to run or to catch, then it's a simple language that we can talk to animals. So meaning that the language is very universal, and I think all human being or every living creatures in the earth, they do know how to at least to communicate with each other with language. So that's the first one. And then the second is I will bring about the yeah, I have so many golden nuggets actually, but the second is the the universal thing about the language is there's no language without grammar. So meaning that there are certain rules that strict or that make boundaries inside the language itself. And it's for the purpose of both speakers or both the communicators or everyone that's involved in the language did not make the wrong interpretation. That's actually like a uh, maybe like a red light, green light, yellow light. I think you can interpret it in that way because it's it's kind of make everyone able to understand each other. That's the second one. And then the third one is the language that we are using nowadays, even though we are exposed to many other things, and when we're at school, and we're at college, or at our work. But actually, the first 5 years in our life is the one that inherits the most of us when we speak our language. So that those three, hopefully that answers the questions about my three golden nuggets when reading this book.
What do you think, Mita? Or is it clear enough for you about the golden nugget?
Yes, I think that's great. Thank you, Diaz.
So the next one will be me. So my first book this year is very short. It's only 50 pages. It's by George Orwell.
Oh,
If you know 1984,
984, yeah, 1984.
84 is a famous book, and also Animal Farm, a famous children's story criticizing Russia and communism, socialism, and blah blah blah. So the only reason George Orwell was famous is because of those books, and he wanted to write about nonfiction here. So I'm not used to George Orwell's writing in nonfiction. I think it's totally different from his fiction. That's why I only give it a 3 out of 5, and actually it could be lower. This is not the worst. The worst book I read is the one I'm reading right now, The Pedagogy of the Oppressed. This is probably second worst. Anyway, okay. And there's a reason to that. So the title is Notes on Nationalism. I wrote my summary in the end about my overall impression of the book before I go to the what it is about, all of the questions. So what I wrote here is George Orwell proved a point that extreme nationality is bad, basically, by giving us many different examples, including himself. So this is what I found funny. He himself tried to accuse other people of extreme nationalism and how irrational they are, how bad they are, if they are showing over nationalism or extreme nationalism. But as he wrote his book, it shows really clearly that he was an extreme nationalist. So it was very inconsistent, and um, I can spot it that it was hypocritical almost. So that's why it proves that extreme nationalism is bad, including himself, who is not um, immune. He was not immune to the danger of nationalism from the way he deliberately omitted any examples about how bad it is to feel a sense of nationalism towards the Brits. Okay, so he attacked everyone who were nationalists against their own country, such as nationalist German nationalists, Russian nationalists, Japan nationalists, all blah 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 nationalists. But it's okay to be a British nationalist, basically. Everyone else, not okay. So that is what I found. And it proved that he himself was the victim of this extremism. It shows clearly how he was an Anglophile. So I don't know if you are familiar with this expression, Anglophile. Anglophile means anyone who is obsessed with anything British, anything English, that's Anglophile. Just like if it's anything French, Francophile, I think what it's called. Okay. And attack others who were uh, having different perspectives from him. So that's what the book is about. However, it doesn't mean that all of the contents actually bad. So in the first half of the book, a lot of the things he wrote actually make sense. For example, how he shows that when we harbor nationalism in our heart, sometimes and most of the time it clouds our judgment. We become we become irrational. Many times we become irrational. And he started by uh, defining what it means, right? Basically, if anyone feel a sense of nationalism, they think their own individuality, basically. So they sink their own individuality into this concept of a nation, and then they do many things that they can to secure more power and more prestige, not for himself or herself, but for the nation. So this is nationalism. So they sink their own individuality for the sake of their nation to secure more power and more prestige. And they usually think of nationalism as um, merely in a competitive prestige. So they would like to compete with other nations. They want to be the best out of others. Um, uh, when we harbor this type of extreme nationalism, sometimes when we are given a certain facts that undermine our nation, we will automatically be overwhelmingly against it. So we will not even consider any facts that might make our nation look bad, basically. So it doesn't enter our brain for some reasons, and we will develop the ability to actually push it aside as a habitual practice. So I think it's very interesting how um, having this type of nationalism can obscure our objectivity towards facts that bad, basically. And then, and this is the reason why a lot of political and military commentators, political and military figures, even when they make a lot of mistakes in public, they can survive them because there are a lot of people who are devoted followers. So they have the ability to somehow push aside all of the weaknesses of these political figures or military leaders, something like that, because their sense of nationalism. So this is something that is interesting. I think probably we can talk about JFK, for example, although not mentioned in the book, right? John F. Kennedy, because uh, obviously he died young in a very monumental way, and also he led the US through the Cold War, win the space race, and all of things like that. But he himself was not a good person, right? But because of the sense of nationalism, we were able to, or at least the American public that time, were able to push aside that bad things about him and only remember the good things. about him, basically. And then and it can lead us to, it can develop obsession. I think this one is pretty obvious. Oh, okay. When we harbor nationalism, we also cannot see a certain action in an objective manner. For example, a certain action will be good or bad. It's not because of the action itself, but depends on who do it, basically. So we know killing someone is bad, right? Killing someone is bad. But then depends on who do it. If the one who do it are the people who support our nationalism, we gladly say that this is actually good. So it depends on who do it. So I think that is interesting. And then when they see atrocities committed in the world, atrocities, like violence committed in the world, if it's committed by their own side, they have the remarkable capacity of not even hearing about them. So, like people in the, he came up with a lot of the examples of how um, German people turned their blind eyes about their military tried to exterminate Polish Jews, right? So he accused how these German people pretend not to hear any news about it, basically. But then we know the Brits also did the same. And then the Brits military were so famous in doing atrocity also in other parts of the world. But obviously, George Orwell also uh, was not capable of hearing it, or at least did not mention anything about it. So I think it's a pretty obvious uh, selective facts that he put here. So all of the bad examples to prove his point are taken from other country, never from his own country. The good things he take, if he needed to prove good things, he took it from the Brits. And then he criticized sporting events. Sport events, he said there's no such thing as solidarity in sport. A lot of matches actually are under the cover of, oh, this is solidarity match between France and Spain, something like that, right? But then to him, it was just a pretense, because basically sport events is like the war without the shooting, basically. So it's like war, but without shooting. So that's why he said we should not compete uh, against other nations in terms of sport events, or at least don't call it because of solidarity. The actual purpose of having an Olympics is actually to boost each country's nationalism, not for solidarity, unity, or blah blah blah. Okay. All right. So when someone, and last one, when someone is harboring this extreme nationalism, they try to see everything, the news, the games, in everyday facts as in terms of competitive prestige. Is that gonna make my country look bad or good? Basically. So this is uh, what I can summarize from the book. So my key takeaways is extreme nationalism can cloud our judgment to the point that sometimes it can be extreme, such as if certain atrocities is carried out by our own country, we are capable of not accepting it or not even hearing about it or ignore it. And this is also applicable to even people, such as political commentators, political figures, military figures, something like that. And the next one is everyone is prone to have this um, illogical stand, yeah, including the writer himself who came up with this idea. So that is the key takeaway from me. Is there any questions from everyone? Yeah.
If
Yes.
so, do you think the cancel culture won't affect much for someone who's in or for someone with political background,
Yeah,
because
that is interesting.
because people
Mm.
people tend to devour, people tend to whatever he does, whatever she does, whatever he did, as long as he's with us, then I'm with you as well. So it's like a unconditional love. It's like,
Yeah, unconditional love
but
is,
in a
which is,
but in a bad way.
yeah, unconditional love to the people who do not deserve it. Right. Yes, actually, this book is written in
Mm,
1950. Talking about outdated, book is 1950, classic. Um,
mm,
Obviously did not uh, imagine there would be something called the internet in which people can just voice their concern in unison, you know.
mm,
It's almost like a internet's like a democracy of
mm,
information, right? So in the past we were afraid to call out someone or to cancel
mm,
someone because the person does something bad, but now we feel like we're not the only one. So I think there's a power in cancel culture. But if we notice in all of the comment
mm,
sections, whenever someone get
mm,
canceled, there's always other people who try to defend. Okay, and this is, I think, the people who you talk about, Diaz, who are
mm,
capable of denying the fact that their junjungan or the people that they uh, idolize or something like that, or they like, actually did
mm.
something wrong.
The fan. Mm,
Yeah, even Donald Trump, for example, right? That's
mm,
easy, right?
mm,
Donald Trump, he has a lot of weaknesses,
mm, mm,
but people have a but, however, like that. So yeah, it's interesting.
Alright, interesting.
The cancel culture. Yeah, there are people who got cancelled forever. Like we've
Mm,
seen
mm,
someone who got cancelled and then never show up again, right? But
alright.
there's also people who got
Mm,
cancelled and then come back after several months or several years. So I think
mm,
if they are able to come back, they get lucky. Not able to come back,
yeah.
then yeah, they deserve it. Yeah.
Mm, mm. Okay, thank
Kak
you.
Indra or Kak
That will be
Mita?
my comments.
Thank you. Do you have question? Hello. No? Okay.
I think maybe,
Pete,
but oh
Oh,
yeah, okay.
yeah. Pete,
yes, Kak Mita. Yeah.
is Donald Trump nationalist?
He extreme nationalist, Kak.
Okay. So actually, he is the evidence that the extreme nationalism is bad.
Yes, extreme nationalism is bad. I think that is makes sense, ya, Kak, ya. Because if we like something so bad, or if we extremely proud of something, it clouds our judgment. We cannot see the reality as it is. We become selective in accepting the truth, which one is the truth or not. Would you agree or not, Kak Mita?
I agree because it can also hinder the growth of someone. For example, like you studied in the Netherlands, right?
Mm, mm,
If you were an extreme nationalist, you wouldn't have studied there because you would have thought, oh, we were colonized by the Dutch for 350 years. So what can we learn from them? They owe us something, and then when you were there, you probably protested all the time, something like that, and
ah,
you couldn't learn from their culture, and you cannot grow. But
mm,
by being just okay nationalist, you're proud of your country, but you're open to another nation points of view, another culture, you grow, you choose the best from both sides. I
mm,
think when you are a nationalist, you should, I think rather than being a nationalist, I prefer that we become a universalist. We choose the best from every country in the world, and we take advantage of that, and we grow with that. Yes, you don't have to live in Indonesia. If you don't think this is the best country for you, you can live somewhere else. And I see for other people, it's easier to do that. For Indonesians or Americans, they're probably hard to move to another nation. But if I see that, like for Indians, yeah, it's easier for them to move around. For like people from China, probably it's easier to migrate. And even from other countries, the young generations now, they're not too nationalist. They just choose the country that they prefer to
Mm.
work, to even to marry, to to study. So I think extreme nationalism is really bad. I think we should become now more than nationalists but a universalist instead.
Oh, I agree with you, Kak. Yes, extreme nationalism is very self-limiting. Yeah, to the point that we cannot learn from other nation as well, thinking that we are the best, we don't need to learn from others, thinking that learning from others somehow undermine our own nation and blah blah blah. Yes, I agree with you. And yes, nationalism is eroding. I think it's a natural part of the world because we are globalization now, right? So in the past we used to be all of us, I think, old enough living under Suharto era, right? No one is younger than what, 30?
Now
Right?
I
I
know
don't know how old
Soeharto
Perindra
era.
is. Yeah, yeah, Kak Vita of. I don't know how old Perindra is, but then if you're younger than 30, you do not get to experience Suharto era as much. But we used to be indoctrinated with all of this nationalism. So maybe there's still some residue in our heart about nationalism. But kids these days, they can easily move nationality to move to Singapore and then become resident, something like that. Citizen, blah blah blah. Yeah.
And I remember, Pipit, I don't know if it happened to you when after you graduated from university in the Netherlands, but when I finished my study in US, my father, being the generation of he is 80 years old, he asked me to come back to Indonesia to give back to the
Yeah.
country. So the
Mengabdi.
nationalism is still strong for him. But now, when I'm asked by my friends if they have children who study abroad, I go work after you study. Buy a house there. Marry the bule there if they study in Western culture. Don't you
Go back.
dare tell your children not to marry with another person from a different culture.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
different eras. So I
Yeah.
think nationalism is in terms that we are proud of, we have the best things in Indonesia, yes, but it doesn't mean that we have to die here, we have to study here all the time, we have to live here, no.
No.
And you don't have to give back to your country the way that are expected to you, but you can give back in the way that you are authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah. Thank you, Kak. I agree with you. Right. Pradindra, no question?
Nope, no question.
Okay. Let's go to Farindra because he like to share a book. Go ahead, Fer.
Yeah, hello everyone.
Cam, just
Apologies for me,
checking.
I cannot turn on my camera
Oh,
for
no
now.
worries. Yeah.
And I also actually haven't finished the book 100%, but I just want to share it today. Almost finished my book. Yeah, quite. It took me quite a long time. This book is a classic, How to Lie with Statistics, by Darren Huff. I think it's written around 1940 or something. I forgot the year, the published year, but it's a classic one. You can spot on the from the example that the writer used for the books for each chapter. It's still using the outdated sample for the story. So why did I decide to read the book? Yeah, I find it interesting, and I think it can still relate with the nowadays condition. If you also read or watching the news recently, there's news regarding the national statistics that they decrease the value of the poverty threshold, that causing the poverty rate in Indonesia is increasing. Uh, yeah, I'm not saying I'm not judging anything, but I'm just skeptical of what the purpose of decreasing the poverty rates. And reading these books also confirm my skepticism because statistic we listen, we don't judge, correct? The nowadays trend, we listen, we don't judge. Uh, so yeah, however, there are quite a few key takeaways that I can take from the book, even though I haven't finished. The first one, also in the first chapter, that the
Yeah.
writer
Yeah.
is about bias, the bias sample. So any statistic, product, we need to be aware of the sample. But the writer used the outdated sample where the statistician come door to door to interview the the person, the subject, to be collected the data about the salary or something in US. So yeah, there are few bias sampling that can be produced. Also the bias graph, the bias statistic data, and also the other key takeaways is that graph graphics graph can deceive us. Like if you want the spikes not so big, so we can just scale down the graph, or we can decrease the scale of the graph. Vice versa is we want to see the quite noticeable spikes, we can just scale up the graph to see that there is quite noticeable increase or decrease. Yeah, that's another things. And also the things that I think quite frequently used is average. We can see oftenly in the social media also that the the average salary of some places, uh, they just provide the average salary, but we don't know what average that they means. There are some data, some methods that we can define average, whether it is mean, median, or mode. Mean is the total value divided by the total data, but the median is the center value of the data, and the mode is the most value that appear in one survey. So these average things we need to take a look of what average definition from the statistics organization they use, because if using mean, that can be misleading, because the high value can also lift up the others value if the gap is too big. So it can be misleading just to see from the uh, mean value, or the total value divided by the number of the data. Yeah, that's the average can mislead us. And also the correlation is not always causation. Just because two things happen, two things have correlative, it's not always mean that one causing the other things. The books using also, I think, the outdated sample about the cancer in New Zealand, which produce quite a lot of milk, and of course the citizen also drink quite a lot of milk compared to the other countries that rarely drink milk, and find out that in New Zealand the cancer rate is higher than the other countries that are rarely drink milks, But after looking through the data, they find out that in New Zealand the lifespan is longer or 12 years longer than the other countries. So that's why the cancer can be higher than the other country because there are more elderly people in New Zealand compared to the other country that they do the survey. So yeah, that's why uh, the the dangers of correlation and causation. We also need to be aware of this. Yeah, I think that the key takeaways that I can take from the book that I haven't read 100%. And then the next question is there any question? Yeah. Uh, I just want to know if you also have any interesting or interesting experience regarding the statistics that you find you skeptic about it, Kak Pipit or Kak Mita or Kak Dias.
Perindra, what's the title again? Sorry.
How to Lie with Statistics.
Oh, How to Lie. Okay, this is a famous book, yeah?
Yeah, famous book, classic books.
So I have a question. If it's obvious that people lie with statistics, why is it still legal to lie with statistics? We know it is misleading, and scientifically there is a explanation why this is all distorting the reality and it's misleading basically. But
Mhm.
why is it still legal to use this type of statistics in that way?
Because I think there's, yeah, no, just my opinion. We don't have any clear definition of illegal of how using the statistic. So I'm not sure how can we restrict or how can we disallow some statistic methods or sampling because we do still need the statistic. We do still need the data. Just how the surveyor how they process it, how they present it. Yes, yeah, it's all depends on that, and also yeah, that's why it's back to the consumer to us to be skeptical and always be skeptical with the data and statistic. But I think I still don't know how could we clearly define statistic methods to be illegal or should not allow to use again. I haven't really sure about it. Yeah.
Supposed to be illegal, yeah.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Okay,
I
Diaz
think,
and
Pipit,
I have
I
questions
can
there.
answer your questions
Yes, good, Kak.
because you don't know if the statistics are correct or are lies until they are thrown to the public. Yeah. For example, I just recently found out from Instagram because that's the social media that many people use nowadays. TikTok has been banned and Facebook is old, jadul. LinkedIn is too serious and Twitter is too confusing for me. So I use Instagram a lot. And I found out there is this new statistic, like several women in the roundtable discussions in the podcast, they're telling me that based on the research and statistic recently, they found out that women who is never married, never have children, are the happiest, the healthiest, and have the most money amongst all women in the world. On the other hand, men who are married with children are the happiest, the healthiest, and have the longest life expectancy. I'm surprised because if I had known this, I would not have gotten married when I was 19, and I would have asked for a divorce earlier before my ex-husband asked to have a child with me. And it's true. I begin to see when I'm having lunch for work or just coffee with the married man, my colleagues or clients, they're so easygoing, very supportive, very happy and healthy. On the other hand, when I'm dating my ex boyfriend who's been single forever, he's miserable. And I can see myself. I have a son, and my son, although he's grown up, he's still like causing headaches sometimes. And I cannot be a real single. Like, and I see my neighbor, extra neighbor, who's never married, a woman, never have children. She's so fucking rich. I'm sorry, I'm using this language. And he's so happy and healthy. Like, oh my goodness, you know? And there we go. I think before we judge, criticize a statistic, the people who does the research, they are responsible to show the results to us so we, the audience, can make the judgment, not the judgment, can dig deeper into our reality, see the evidence from our lives, and tell that's lie or that's true. And I want to say that statistics that I just recently found out, it's completely true. It's really true. And it's like a smack on my face. Get up, wake up. So don't over idolize being a mother or being a wife, because as a woman, it's not that easy. It's not that easy. And recently, based on statistic that I found from a book author, a woman book author, in the workplace, so you can judge if this is true or not based on your experience. Yeah, I'm just throwing you statistics. There are four levels of the appreciation at work. And this book author, I forgot her name, she just gave a speech in Harvard. The bottom level, the least appreciated women are mothers. They don't get projects, they don't get promoted, and people rarely want to hire mothers because they know that mothers have to take days off when their children are ill. Mothers have to encourage and prepare everything, the food for the husbands. Mother have to run everything at home. So we are responsible mostly at home. And then the next layer after the mothers, the least appreciated is the single woman. So, but these single women never been married, never have children are better appreciated than the mothers. Yeah, they give some senior manager project like my neighbor. She's like one of the directors of the company, multinational companies, and she's treated like the other male colleagues. She's the only woman in the director boards. Okay, but the next level that are more appreciated is single men, you know? And they're very appreciated. They're given more tasks. They're promoted easily. And you know what's the funniest and the most ironic thing? The most appreciated employees amongst all are fathers. I'm so confused here because they know that fathers, they get support from the mothers, the wife, and they're stable because they say that he has to work for the children, etc. What about mothers, us? Why don't we get that kind of appreciation and trust in the office? And another statistic supports that. That's why most female leaders are found in UMKM, small medium enterprises. 70% of the small medium enterprises readers are female and owned by female, because we have this opportunity to lead, to be trusted, and to promote our businesses rather than working in a big corporate environment where we are at the bottom. Forget about that. I don't want to waste the rest of my life. I'm only 50 for what do you call fighting for the corporate ladder? Forget about it. I'm building my own empire. I'm bringing my own table to the party. Yeah, because that's the statistic. So, Pipit, this is why people still need statistic, and researchers are responsible to share their findings so we can really judge whether it's supporting our reality, so we can make better decisions for our future, or it's against our reality, so we can also make a better decision for that. Okay, I'm sorry about emotional because I just found out the statistics and we're talking about statistics. So I love statistics. I love research and surveys. Back to you, Ferindra.
Parindra?
Okay, thank you, Kak Mita, for sharing it. And also another additional is statistics is just a tool. It's all depends to the person who use it. So yeah,
I think depends on the agenda of the
yeah,
researcher as
depends on the
well.
agenda.
Yeah, for us to choose to believe or not, right? Yes,
Mm-mm.
you have a question for Parindra? No? Okay. Kak Mita? Yeah, I have to go at 2 as well. Okay. I think Kak Mita, we only have 10 minutes left. Do you want to share your book or?
No, no, it's okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's all right. My purpose being here is just to listen today and to comment. Yeah.
Okay. Can we take photos, everyone, then?
Okay.
Farinda, is it possible for you? Show your book aja kalau cannot show. Like me, I show my book. Fair? Cannot? You said
Not for now.
not for now. Okay.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. All right. See you next month, people. Thank you for coming. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.